On October 21st, IBJ unveils the 2025 Women of Influence. Join us to celebrate Indy's most inspiring leaders and hear the powerful stories behind their success. Don't miss this moment. Register now at ibj.com/influence 2025.
This is Inside Indiana Business Radio for the afternoon of Thursday, October 16th, 2025. I'm Alex Brown. Elkhart Community Schools is preparing to consolidate some of its school buildings in response to declining enrollment, increasing operational costs, and changes in state funding. Superintendent Larry Huff says those challenges have put additional strain on the district's finances.
$1 or $2 million here are not going to necessarily fix the issues, and so I thought it was very important that we begin this opportunity for consolidation. We're 80 square miles, and some of your buildings have 200 students here and 300 students there. That makes it really hard when some of those classrooms are empty for coverage point of view. Also, your other footprint, you don't have to have as much other overhead when you have those other extra buildings that are running with very low numbers.
The district will spend the next few months identifying which schools will be consolidated. That process could begin next fall. The University of Evansville says it saw double-digit enrollment heading into the fall 2025 semester. Total enrollment rose by 10%, with the incoming freshman class growing by 19%, including students from 31 states and 12 countries. South Bend-based Humvee manufacturer AM General is partnering with a robotics company and a military contractor to design an unmanned transport trailer for the U.S. Army. Developed under what the Army calls its Medium Modular Equipment Transport Trailer Program, the hybrid electric off-road vehicle would deliver supplies and other equipment from troop support areas to the front lines of a conflict. From the number one source for Indiana business news, this is Inside Indiana Business Radio.
Thanks for listening to this IBJ Media podcast. You're probably going to remember this ad. Do you know why? Podcast advertising works. 85% of listeners recalled hearing an ad during a podcast, and 70% of podcast listeners have acted after hearing an ad. So whether you're looking to be heard across the entire IBJ Media Podcast Network, sponsor one of our shows, or just start with a 30-second ad, IBJ Media can help. Contact advertise at ibj.com to learn more.
The Fort Wayne Football Club says it is on track to complete construction of its new soccer stadium on the city's southeast side by its March 2026 deadline. Our partners at WPTA-TV report the Allen County Board of Zoning Appeals has approved the club's proposal for the stadium's lighting poles. Plans for the 8,400-seat soccer stadium were first announced last November, and construction began in April. The venue will be used by the team as it begins its first season in the top tier of the United Soccer League. Fort Wayne FC's Justin Cohn.
Our season in USL League One, which will be a fully professional league, that season runs from March to October. So we don't yet have the schedule, so we don't know exactly when our first match will be, but we are absolutely on track to get everything finished and in time for us to be playing next season.
The zoning board unanimously approved the lighting poles, which will stand between 75 and 80 feet tall, about 30 feet higher than what is normally allowed by the county. Cohn said the next approval will be for the stadium's scoreboard, which will face I-69 and be the second longest in the state. The Indiana Office of Utility Consumer Counselor, which acts on behalf of utility customers, said Thursday it opposed a settlement plan disclosed hours earlier in which AES Indiana said it would reduce its proposed electricity rate hike by slightly more than half. Instead, the OUCC reaffirmed its call for a rate reduction. In a press release, AES said the settlement, if approved by the Indiana Utility Regulatory Commission, would reduce the original rate increase proposed in June from an estimated $21 per month for a typical home to $10 per month. The IURC, which said it expects to issue a final order on the rate case in the spring of 2026, will consider the settlement petition when it weighs the case. Indianapolis is hosting the World Food Championships for the second year in a row starting today. 300 teams will compete for the title of World Food Champion and a share of $450,000 in prize money. Culinary Crossroads founder Larry Dickerson says it's a chance for Indiana to shine.
We want to have a launch pad. What could be better than to bring this competition? Right there we get a chance to highlight our people, products, and places, And even equally important, if not more important, think about those 1,300 to 1,500 competitors, all their sponsors coming in here, hearing that narrative, being educated on what we have, and then they go out and spread the word around the world.
Last fall, World Food Championships CEO Mike Eaton said he envisioned Indianapolis as a long-term home for the event. Republic Airways President Matt Koskell is this week's guest on the Business and Beyond podcast with Gary Dick, presented by PNC, a weekly conversation with high-profile Hoosiers in business, sports and entertainment, and beyond. Available now on the IBJ Media app or your favorite podcast provider. I'm Alex Brown for Inside Indiana Business Radio on Demand.
From breaking news to in-depth articles, discover the advantage of unlimited access to all news from IBJ and Inside Indiana Business with our limited time trial. Get started now at ibj.com/trial offer.
The IBJ Media Podcast Network is the soundtrack of a growing state. Indiana is on the move, and you can hear it happening on the IBJ Media Podcast Network. We bring you the voices at the center of our economy, our courts, our companies, and our communities. Subscribe now and be part of the conversation that's building Indiana's future. Find all of our shows by searching IBJ Media in your podcast app or visit ibjpodcasts.com.